What if Mace Windu consulted Yoda before facing Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video.
Are you going to kill me?
I would certainly like to.
I know you would. I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
I'm going to turn you over to the Jedi Council.
Anakin Skywalker strides through the Senate rotunda, intent on finding Mace Windu. His body tense, heavy with the weight of what has just occurred. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. His mind races with questions. How could he not have known? He's known the Chancellor for the majority of his life, sought his mentorship, and confided in him in his deepest emotions. He feels pure disgust at the thought, not only because he never knew, but because the thought of saving Padme allows him to accept it.
We just received word that Obi-Wan has destroyed General Grievous. We're on our way to make sure the Chancellor returns emergency power back to the Senate.
He won't give up his power. I've just learned a terrible truth. I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
Yes, the one we've been looking for.
How do you know this?
He knows the ways of the Force. He's been trained to use the dark side.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
And our worst fears have been realized.
Mace feels the anger bubbling within him. He knows he must act, but his emotions are clouding his judgment.
We must tell Master Yoda immediately. If we are to save the Jedi Order, we have to act quickly, but soundly. He'll know what to do.
Mace and Anakin stride to the holoprojector and contact Master Yoda on Kashyyyk.
Master Windu, called so soon you have, and with Skywalker. What news do you have?
Our worst fears have been realized. Palpatine confessed to Anakin. He's the Sith Lord we've been looking for.
Troubling. Very troubling news this is. Shrouded, the future is. Quick to strike, the dark side pushes us. Patient and deliberate we must be. Skywalker, how do you know?
The Chancellor said his mentor taught him about the dark side of the Force. He offered to help me, use his knowledge, and join him.
Help you? Help you how?
I can't tell you. Damn it. Enough of this madness, Skywalker. Tell us everything.
Trust us, you can, Anakin. Whatever you tell us, use it against you. We will not. Do not allow this Dark Lord to manipulate your emotions. Help you, we can, but only if you allow us to.
Okay. I'll trust you, Master. I've broken the Jedi Code, and if I could start over, I'd do it again. It's the visions we discussed, Master. They were of Padme. We're in love, and she's pregnant. In these visions, she dies in childbirth. Palpatine says he can save her.
After hearing this, Yoda starts pacing around, unsure of how to respond. Mace feels the same anger bubbling within him. Both Jedi Masters wonder how they could be so blind to everything happening around them.
Fear and love. Both powerful they are, but lead to the dark side. Fear of loss does.
And you believe him? Skywalker, the Sith work in deception and manipulation to get what they want. They'll tell you what you want to hear and twist your fears into chains. Palpatine doesn't want to save Padme. He wants only to control you.
The realization hits Anakin like a ton of bricks. Part of him wants to believe what Mace is saying, but all he can focus on is saving Padme.
But what if he's telling the truth? What if he really has the power to save Padme? I can't sit back and do nothing about these visions.
Do nothing. We will not. The dark side blind you and twist the truth it does, Anakin. Certain are you that these visions will come to pass?
Yoda hits a nerve with Anakin, and all his emotions from his mother's death come rushing back to him in full force.
I've seen it, Master. It felt real, just like the visions of my mother. And she did die. I won't. I can't let it happen again.
Through the holoprojector, Anakin can see Yoda smile gently. Mace Windu walks over to Anakin and puts a hand on his shoulder.
Skywalker, I'm sorry. I had no idea what you were going through.
Let us handle this situation, young Skywalker. Go to Padme. Be with her you will. Relieved of duty you are, until your child is born. Allow this situation to play out. See if your visions truly come to pass. Station Jedi at Padme's quarters. We will.
Anakin, thoroughly surprised to hear this kind of reaction from the two masters, is able to calm himself down and make his way to Padme. Once Anakin is gone, Mace and Yoda focus on the matter at hand.
Slippery and devious, this Sidious is. A grand plan in the making, it must have been. Naboo, the creation of the clones, the Clone Wars, political corruption, Anakin, even Count Dooku. All parts of this Dark Lord's plans they were. Careful we must be when confronting him.
I agree. But with the war fronts, we do not have many Jedi to spare.
No war front matters more than this. Defeat Sidious and end the war we shall. Convene the Jedi Council. We will.
For the first time in a long time, the veil has been lifted. With knowledge of the Chancellor being the Sith Lord they've been looking for, it all rushes to Yoda instantly. He has clarity of the situation at hand at last. All masters get on the holoprojector. Yoda and Mace explain the situation. Yoda calls all Jedi Masters from the warfront back to Coruscant in order to prepare for anything Sidious can throw at them. However, he orders all clone commanders to take control of their fronts. If the creation of the clones was Sidious's doing, he must have a backup plan in store, something involving the clones. The Chancellor sits in his office, pondering just what happened in the last few days. Nothing has gone according to plan. He laid his cards on the table for Anakin, fully expecting him or the Jedi Council to be here. Yet, nothing happened. No proclamation to the Senate, no contact from Anakin, no contact from the Jedi Council. For this reason, he's stationed more clones in the Senate rotunda. His instincts tell him something is happening. He tried to be patient, but now must act quickly if he is to save his grand plan. He decides to reach out to Anakin through the Force.
Anakin, my boy, time is not on our side. I haven't heard from you. Have you considered my offer? We can still save Padme together.
I've thought about it, Chancellor. And I've decided to stay by Padme's side until she gives birth. While I appreciate your help, I'll ensure she lives with every ounce of my being, even if it means giving my life for her.
I understand, Anakin. But keep in mind, she may perish by means beyond your control.
I'll keep that in mind, Chancellor.
Palpatine is furious. How could this happen? His anger bubbling to a boiling point. Unable to control himself, he lets out a furious screech. Once he calms down, he assesses the situation, thinking of all the possibilities at hand. Anakin must have contacted the Jedi, otherwise he wouldn't be able to stay at Padme's side indefinitely. Then why haven't the Jedi come? He was sure they'd act quickly and approach him after finding out the Sith Lord was right under their noses the entire time. Yet they've practiced restraint. They must be planning something. Palpatine decides the time has come.
Commander Kelly, the time has come. Execute Order 66.
Yes, my lord. But there's a problem. There are no Jedi on Utapau, my lord.
Palpatine instantly ends the transmission. How could this be? He knew Obi-Wan had defeated Grievous, but why would he have left the planet in the middle of the battle? He reaches out to every clone commander across the galaxy, yet receives the same answer. No Jedi. Then it hits him. Yoda. But how could he have known? Just as he has the thought, he hears commotion through the halls, blaster fire going off, and clones screaming. Faintly, he can hear it. The Jedi have finally come. Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, and Quinlan Vos rush through the Senate rotunda. By now, they see that Master Yoda was right. The clones have turned on them. The group of Jedi Masters sprint down the halls, cutting down every clone they see in their path. Blaster bolts screamed through the air as the Jedi Masters sprinted through the grand halls of the Senate Rotunda. The red-marked Coruscant Guard had locked down the exits, their DC-15 rifles sending streaks of plasma through the air. But they were not prepared for what came next. Mace Windu was a blur of violet and fury, his Vapad strikes carving through troopers with merciless precision. His saber hummed as he had deflected incoming fire, his movements sharp and controlled. Kit Fisto was right behind him, his green blade spinning fluidly, cutting down a pair of troopers before they could react. On the flank, Ki-Adi-Mundi raised his hand, the force rippling through the air as he sent a squad of clones crashing into the walls, their armor shattering on impact. Plo Koon's saber flashed as he twisted through the chaos, his free hand sending a wave of force energy that rippled rifles from the clones' grasps, leaving them defenseless. But the clones were relentless. A rotary cannon roared to life as a heavy clone trooper opened fire, the sheer volume of bolts forcing the Jedi to break formation. Quinlan Vos leaps forward, his saber held in a reverse grip, dodging between the shots with inhuman agility. In a single motion, he vaulted over the clones, slicing the cannon in half before slamming his boot into the trooper's chest, sending him flying. The Jedi regrouped, their backs to a towering set of Senate chamber doors, when suddenly, explosions rocked the corridor. A squad of ARC troopers stormed in, launching thermal detonators that detonated just feet away. The Jedi threw up their hands, the Force shielding them from the blast, but the sheer impact shook the ground beneath them. Mace's eyes narrowed. They were being funneled, pushed toward the outer balconies.
They're trying to box us in.
Let them try.
Mace tightens his grip on his saber.
We make our stand here.
Expecting the next wave of clones to rush towards them, they brace for the incoming fight. However, no clones come. The silence was deafening. Blaster fire had filled the corridors moments ago, but now, nothing. The Jedi exchange wary glances, their grips tightening around their sabers. Something was wrong. Mace Windu took a slow step forward, his senses reaching out through the Force, searching for the trap he knew was waiting. But there was no ambush.
Stay on your guard. This must be some sort of trap.
Without another word, he strode forward, leading the group down the long, winding corridors of the Senate, toward the heart of it all, the Chancellor's office. When they get to Palpatine's office, however, it's empty. Shards of glass lead them to his desk, where they see the window bare and broken. Earlier, when Palpatine heard the Jedi making their move, he considered his options. He knew he would be outnumbered and have minimal chances for survival, so he contacted Commander Fox of the Coruscant Guard.
Yes, my lord.
Commander Fox, bring a ship to my office immediately. The Jedi are attacking, and we must retreat. Have what remains of your unit and all other units on Coruscant regroup with me. It's time we go on the offensive.
Palpatine thinks to himself.
Skywalker is still a possibility, but I don't need an apprentice for this. I'll do the job and finish the Jedi myself.
The plan is simple. The Jedi will send the Council to fight him, yet he'll be elsewhere. If he can't fight them head-on, he'll play cat and mouse. Coming to the realization Palpatine has escaped, they quickly get Master Yoda on the comlink.
Master Yoda, we've breached Palpatine's office. He's gone.
Good. Very good. According to plan, everything is going.
Palpatine stands ahead of the Coruscant Guard, the 501st Legion, Coruscant Defense Force, and Clone Intelligence Unit Brigade.
Brothers of the Grand Army, the Jedi have made their final desperate stand. They believe recalling their masters to Coruscant will save them. They believe their strength in numbers will turn the tide. But they are fools. They have sealed their fate. For years, these so-called warriors have commanded you, used you, betrayed you. They stood beside you in battle, but never saw you as brothers. To them, you are nothing but weapons, expendable. But I see you. I know your worth. I know that it is you, not the Jedi, who have fought and bled for the Republic. And now, the Republic calls upon you one final time. The Jedi cower within their temple, their council chamber, their sacred halls, believing they can withstand our might. They cannot. We march upon their temple not as invaders, but as executioners. Let them raise their sabers. Let them attempt to delay their judgment. It will make no difference. They will fall one by one as their lies crumble around them. Every master, every knight, every Padawan who stands against us is a traitor to the Republic and must be eradicated. No one can remain. This is not just an attack. This is the final war against the Jedi Order. And when the last of their kind dies, when their halls burn, when their legacy is reduced to dust and memory, then, and only then, will the galaxy know peace. Tonight, we finish what Order 66 began. Tonight, we end the Jedi.
The Jedi Temple stood defiantly against the Coruscant skyline, its towering spires bathed in cold moonlight. At the foot of the grand staircase, Chancellor Palpatine advanced, his dark robes billowing, his yellow eyes gleaming with malice. Behind him, legions of clone troopers marched in perfect unison, their white armor illuminated by the glow of the city. The red-marked Coruscant Guard took point, flanked by the battle-hardened 501st Legion and elite shock troopers, their blasters raised, their orders clear. The rhythmic stomp of their boots echoed through the plaza, a drumbeat of impending doom. Palpatine ascended the first steps, his twisted sneer barely visible beneath his hood. He raised a withered hand, savoring the moment. This was the end of the Jedi, his voice sharp and final, cut through the silence.
Burn it to the ground.
As he gets to the top of the stairs, what he sees shakes him to his core. He can't believe what he's seeing. Master Yoda, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Maul, CC-Teen, Ajen Kalar, Eth Koth, Shak Ti, Depa Billaba, and every other Jedi Knight in the Order alongside the 332nd stand before him. Palpatine pauses, a clear look of shock and disbelief all over his face. His thoughts race, no matter what maneuver he makes. All of a sudden, the Jedi seem to be one step ahead. Palpatine realizes what's in front of him, an all-out war with the Jedi. Before the Jedi made their move, Ahsoka called the Council, letting the Jedi know Maul had been captured.
Great job, Ahsoka. Bring him back to Coruscant for questioning. He'll be the key to our plan.
Plan, Master?
Your master discovered the truth he has. Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been looking for.
Ahsoka's mind starts racing as the shock of this revelation washes over her. To think this Sith Lord was right under their noses, and one of Anakin's closest friends at that. Suddenly, Rex speaks out.
Fives was right all along. And we called him crazy. A traitor. One of my own brothers. I should have trusted him.
What do you mean, Rex?
Rex begins to explain all about Fives and how he was convinced there was a chip inside them. He told Rex and Anakin the Chancellor was in on it too, but they didn't believe him. They thought he went mad, and the Coruscant Guard eventually killed him.
Troubling news, this is. Ahsoka, do you have medical droids on board?
Yes, Master. Why do you ask?
Take Rex and his clones. Check the validity of these inhibitor chips. If find them you do, have them all removed immediately.
Yoda's plan has worked out masterfully. He hasn't felt like this in hundreds of years. He's staking the life of the Jedi Order, but the odds are in his favor. All of his Jedi and the 332nd against what's left of the Coruscant Guard, the 501st, and Palpatine. A tense silence settled over the temple's steps as Jedi and clones stared down Sidious, the Sith Lord who had orchestrated their downfall. Master Yoda stood at the center, his ancient eyes locked onto Palpatine's burning yellow gaze, unwavering. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Maul, Shak Ti, and the Council Masters stood ready, their ignited sabers humming in the night air. The 332nd Company, now free of their inhibitor chips, took position behind them, their rifles raised against their former brothers. Palpatine's skeletal fingers curled into fists, his rage barely contained. This was not how it was meant to be. The Jedi should have been scattered, their numbers culled, the Order already extinct. Yet here they stood, stronger than ever. He had been outplayed. But Darth Sidious was never one to surrender. With a sudden snarl, Palpatine thrust his hands forward, a tidal wave of crimson lightning exploding from his fingertips. The air itself shook as raw dark side energy erupted toward the Jedi. Yoda's small frame became a blur, his hands raised to intercept the attack. The lightning struck his palms and curled around his form, cracking violently as he absorbed the blast.
Much to learn you still have. Yet no time remains for you, Sith Lord.
Yoda flung the energy back, the impact launching Palpatine backward. The Sith Lord skidded down the temple steps, his cloak trailing behind him like a shadow. But before he could recover, Mace Windu was already there, his violet blade descending in a vicious arc. The council members who rushed Palpatine's office had arrived just in the nick of time. Sidious barely raised his own weapon in time. Their sabers clash with an ear-splitting crack, and suddenly the entire battlefield ignited. The 332nd opened fire, sending streaks of blue plasma into the 501st and the remaining Coruscant Guard. Clone fought clone, their identical armor making the battlefield a blurred frenzy of war. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka moved as one, cutting through the lines of enemy troops with precise fluid strikes. Kit Fisto and Shaak Ti pushed forward, redirecting blaster fire while engaging ARC troopers in brutal melee combat. And then there was Maul, unchained, unpredictable, a storm of red fury. He launched himself into the fray, his dual-bladed saber spinning as he severed limbs and shattered armor. He struck without hesitation, carving a path through clone after clone, his hatred for Sidious fueling every motion. On the other side of the battle, the duel ignited in an instant. Darth Sidious unleashed a feral scream, his crimson blades snapping to life as he lunged into battle against 5 of the greatest Jedi Masters. Mace Windu, Yoda, Plo Koon, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and CC-Teen encircled him, their sabers forming a ring of light against his darkness. Sidious struck first. He whirled like a phantom, his movements unnatural, inhuman, a storm of red slicing through the air with impossible speed. Before CC-Teen could react, a scarlet blade pierced his heart. The Itachi master gasped, his saber falling from his grip as he crumpled to the floor. Plo Koon roared in defiance, his blade cutting high, but Sidious sidestepped with lightning speed and slashed downward. The Kaldor master staggered back, clutching his chest as a deep, burning gash split through his armor. He collapsed to his knees, his mask shattering upon impact. Ki-Adi-Mundi pressed the attack, his attacks forcing Sidious onto the defensive. For a moment it seemed as though the Jedi were gaining ground, until the Sith Lord's eyes flashed with malevolence. With a twist of his fingers, blue lightning erupted from his free hand, arcing through the air and wrapping around Ki-Adi-Mundi's skull. The Syrian Jedi screamed as his body convulsed, his lightsaber slipping from his grasp. In a blink, Sidious lunged forward, driving his blade through Mundi's chest. Only Mace Windu and Yoda remained. The Jedi steeled themselves, their sabers raised as Darth Sidious, the Dark Lord of the Sith, stood before them, his face a twisted mask of triumph.
Only 2 left. Now you both shall experience the full power of the dark side.
His voice dripped with malice.
At an end your rule is, and not short enough it was.
The true battle had only just begun. Mace and Yoda rushed at the Chancellor. Mace's Vapad technique was at its peak, his violet blade striking relentlessly, absorbing Sidious's darkness and turning it against him. Yoda bouncing off anything he can find, attacking the Dark Lord from every angle. The Sith Lord snarled as he parried each attack, his golden eyes flickering with fury. He had defeated 3 Jedi Masters moments before, but Mace and Yoda were different. Sidious lashed out with lightning again, but Mace caught it on his blade, pushing forward despite the raw energy coursing through his body. Each step brought them closer to the edge of the temple staircase. Sidious gritted his teeth. He needed an escape. Then he felt it. The presence of Anakin Skywalker. The Sith Lord reached into the Force, his voice a whisper in Anakin's mind.
Anakin,
Help me.
the Jedi are traitors. They fear your power. If they kill me, they will come for you next. For Padme.
But this time, Anakin did not answer, because Anakin Skywalker was still with Padme, exactly where he had chosen to be. Sidious's plan had failed. Mace and Yoda sensed the Sith Lord's growing desperation. With one final roaring strike, they brought their blades down across Palpatine's chest. The Sith Lord staggered, a deep, cauterized gash burning through his robe. For the first time, Darth Sidious fell to his knees, and the battle stopped. The 501st was decimated. The Coruscant Guard lay in ruin. The Republic's capital burned, its skies alight with the final embers of war. Yoda raised his saber with a voice like steel.
Over it is.
Palpatine looked up, his face twisted in hate, but his body too weak to resist. The Jedi had won, and the Sith were no more. The Senate was convened, the truth revealed. The galaxy learned of Darth Sidious's deception, of the Jedi's near extinction, of the war built on lies. Maul's testimony of all his interactions with Palpatine was damning enough to bring the Senate to the Jedi's side. Maul is eventually brought before the Jedi Council, who will decide his fate.
I was nothing but his tool. I see that now. I was discarded, betrayed, but his end saw the end of my revenge. I wish to change my ways for the better. Allow me to help rebuild the Republic in any way you see fit.
The Jedi Masters listen in silence. Even Mace Windu, hardened by the war, regards Maul not as an enemy, but as a survivor of Palpatine's cruelty.
Sense the sincerity in your words, we do. Changed, you have. Though not free to go, you are. A future for yourself you must now choose, and help you in this journey. We will.
With Palpatine gone, the Jedi rebuild, stronger, wiser, and forever changed by the war. Anakin Skywalker stayed with Padme, watching his children enter the galaxy, not as things doomed by darkness, but as the future of light. He's given a seat on the Jedi Council and made a master for his efforts in discovering the truth. The Council even accepted his marriage with Padme and his children, realizing emotions are a part of the Force as much as compassion is. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Sith were truly gone, and the galaxy was free. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.